In the world of Norse mythology, there were few beasts as fearsome as Fenrir. This giant wolf, born to the trickster god Loki, was destined to bring chaos and destruction to the gods of Asgard. But despite their fears, the gods knew that they had to try and contain Fenrir before he could unleash his full power. Now, in this exclusive video, we take a closer look at the legend of Fenrir Unleashed. Discover the incredible power of this mega wolf and witness the terror that he inflicted on the gods of Asgard. So don't miss out on this epic tale of gods and monsters. Hit the subscribe button now to join us on this incredible journey into the world of Norse mythology. Fenrir is a legendary wolf in Norse mythology known for his monstrous strength and fearsome reputation. He is also known as Fenris Wolf or Vanagard. The latter name is often translated to mean creature of expectation because it was prophesied that he would play a key role in the destruction of the gods. The pronunciation of his name is Fenrir. According to the myth, he was born as the offspring of the god Loki and a giantess named Angerboda. Now, here is an interesting fact. Contrary to the current portrayal of Loki as an embodiment of malevolence, the original Norse stories do not depict him as such. Rather, Loki is a mischievous god whose actions disrupt established norms. Trickster gods or spirits are often found in many cultures, and they are known for inciting changes and transformations. Therefore, Loki's character is not inherently evil. His actions, although often bringing unwelcome and even tragic consequences, only serve to disrupt the order of the gods and humans. There was a prophecy that foretold that the children of the trickster god Loki would bring trouble to the gods of Asgard. And as a result, these children were taken from their home in Jotunheim, the land of the giants, where they lived with their mother Angerboda, and brought to Asgard, the realm of the gods. Loki's 3 children who were brought to Asgard were Fenrir, the wolf, Jormungandr, the serpent, and Hel, a goddess who is often depicted as a half of a living woman and half a decomposing corpse with a blue complexion. Interesting, right? However, Odin, the All-Father, was disgusted by Jormungandr, the giant serpent, and hurled him into the sea. Hel, the goddess of the underworld, was sent to Nifl, the dark realm beneath Nephilim, where she was given the task of presiding over the souls of the 9 realms who died of old age or sickness. As for Fenrir, he was kept by the gods as a pet and raised among them. But as he grew at an alarming rate, the gods began to fear his uncontrollable strength. However, the brave god Tyr developed a friendship with Fenrir and was the only one brave enough to feed him. As Fenrir continued to grow in size and strength, the gods began to fear the prophecy that he will bring about their downfall. In an attempt to control him, they invite Fenrir to a contest of strength, challenging him to break free from the fetter known as loading. Fenrir accepts the challenge, but to the gods' surprise, he easily breaks free from the chains. Undeterred, the gods forge a stronger chain called Dromi and try once again to bind Fenrir. However, the wolf's incredible strength proves too much for the chains to withstand, and he breaks free once again. Can you believe it? With these incidents, Odin becomes more and more determined to control him before he becomes too powerful to handle. Despite Fenrir's peaceful demeanor and lack of trouble, Odin decides to have him bound, sending the messenger god Skirnir to the fiery forges beneath Midgard to request a special fetter from the skilled dwarves. Guess what? The mission was a success, as the dwarves crafted the ultimate chain, Gleipnir, which is made of 6 powerful elements: a cat's footsteps, a woman's beard, mountain roots, the sinews of the bear, the breath of a fish, and the spittle of a bird. With the ultimate chain in their possession, the gods invited Fenrir to a final test of strength on the island of Lyngvi, in the middle of the great lake Amsvanir. But Fenrir was no fool. He knew the gods were up to something and refused to be bound without a guarantee of their good intentions. He demanded that one of the gods place their hand in his mouth as a show of trust. The gods hesitated, knowing the danger of such a task, but Fenrir's suspicions only grew stronger. Suddenly Tyr, Fenrir's only friend among the gods, stepped forward and bravely offered his hand, which was very brave. What do you think? With intense anticipation, the gods watched as Fenrir was finally bound by the magical chain. But what fate awaited Tyr with his hand trapped in the jaws of the monstrous wolf? Fenrir struggles fiercely against the magical ribbon, but the more he fights, the tighter it constricts around him, until he realizes he has been tricked. In a final act of defiance, he closes his jaws around Tyr's hand, causing the wolf to howl in pain and fury, which was quite sad. Despite his agony, the gods mock him and silence him by forcing a sword between his jaws, effectively disarming him. They then bind the wolf with the unbreakable Gleipnir and leave him stranded on an island in the middle of a lake. Fenrir's sons try to rescue him, but they are captured by Odin and imprisoned. Is this the end of the story? Of course not. Fenrir remained chained on the island until the day of Ragnarok, the twilight of the gods, when a great battle leads to the destruction of the 9 realms. Meanwhile, Horgrimgandr grows so huge that he encircles Midgard as the world serpent. In the poem Völuspá, a prophetess speaking to Odin, telling him about the creation and eventual destruction of the world. According to the Norns, the world will end in Ragnarok, and in verses 38 through 40, the prophetess describes the start of Ragnarok and Fenrir's involvement. She refers to Odin as the All-Father. The poem also mentioned Nihog. It was the dragon who constantly gnawed at the roots of the World Tree. He was not only a creature in the dark realm of Nasrod, but also a devourer of the souls of criminals, oathbreakers, and rapists. These unfortunate souls were transformed into the army of the dead, who would ultimately join the forces of chaos in the final battle with the gods. Fenrir's mother, Angrboda, an aged giantess, raised his sons in the iron wood. In the verses 43 and 47, Fenrir is depicted howling at the gates of hell, and the goddess offers him aid in the form of an army of the dead. According to scholar Robert Carlson, the beginning of Ragnarok is further described as the god Heimdall blowing his horn, Jarlarhorn, signaling the start of the battle. The gods arm themselves and ride out to meet the armies of the giants and the dead. The great wolf Fenrir finally breaks free from his chains, and Hormagron rises from the sea, causing massive tidal waves. The ship Naglfar, constructed from the fingernails of the deceased, is sailed by the giant Hrym, while Hel provides another ship, steering by Loki, carrying Surtur and the fire giants to the battleground. There, Odin, the gods, and the valiant heroes of Valhalla stand ready for the ultimate confrontation between the forces of order and chaos. The Rainbow Bridge, Bifrost, crumbles, and Jarlsdrill quakes as the battle rages on. Fenrir kills Odin, but Vidar, Odin's son, avenges his father by slaying Fenrir. Did you know that despite the deaths of the majority of the gods, including Thor and Loki, the forces that survived managed to defeat the forces of chaos? A new world is created out of the ruins of the 9 realms, ushering in a period of peace and victory. After the final battle, the World Tree and Ginganabop remains, and a new cycle of life begins. The new world's appearance is not described, but Norse beliefs consider life to be cyclical, so nothing is ever truly lost, as it will always return in a different form. Fenrir's memory may survive in this new world since Vidar, his slayer, lived through Ragnarok and is assumed to tell the tale. The Norns decreed Ragnarok, but the gods played a role in its occurrence by dealing with Loki's children. The question of free will versus predestination arises, as Odin's treatment of Fenrir and other actions could have been predetermined by the Norns or a choice made by Odin himself. The Norse belief holds that one's fate is predetermined at birth, but one's actions between birth and death are within their control. Odin's poor treatment of Fenrir may have aligned him with the forces of chaos instead of standing as an ally and defender of the established order of the gods. As we more deeply delve into the intricacies of this ancient mythology, it raises questions about the nature of free will and destiny. What do you think about the role of fate in Norse mythology? Do you believe in destiny, or do you think we have complete control over our lives? Share your thoughts in the comments below.